Randstad India Talent Pod, leading the human forward way.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the 4th episode of Randstad India Talent Pod, where we connect with each other through this wonderful medium that we have here. And I'm so excited to take you on a journey today. Now, we are going to be joined by someone very special to give us some expert tips. We also have a ton of fun lined up, so make sure to stay tuned. Let's go.
You're tuned in to the Randstad India Talent Pod. All things Randstad in one place.
Now today we have with us Sanjay Shetty, Director, Search and Selection and Strategic Accounts, Randstad India. Sanjay is a human resource or talent specialist with more than 23 years of experience of hiring across all industries and levels and managing relationships with companies across India. Having started his career as a recruiter in 1999, he knows the pulse of the talent market, and we thought, who better to talk to us on how to win an interviewer's trust? Sanjay, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you, Nija. It's an absolute pleasure to be part of this podcast and looking forward to the discussion.
Yeah, we're really excited as well. Sanjay, as I'm sure you're already aware, there's just so much information out there on how to ace an interview, right? But it's always better to have the right kind of information. And given your past experience as a recruiter, we'd love to know what it's like on the other side. What do you think are some of the special little things or qualities that recruiters look out for in a candidate that people might most likely overlook while preparing for an interview?
Sure. So Nija, it's a very relevant and logical question. And as somebody who's been doing this now for 23 odd years, feels quite old when I say that, but I can definitely share a couple of nuggets which could be takeaways for people. Mm-hmm. I would start with saying that first thing is to make sure that we look at the little things, being on time. Sometimes we take that for granted and we assume that people on the other side will understand. I would say that being on time is the first and most important thing. That's one. Secondly is also things like having your own sequence or flow. And by the way, this is applicable for both the interviewer and the interviewee. A person needs to have their own flow of how do you explain yourself, your background, what do you start with, what's the body of your discussion, and how do you want to end it. So once you have a sequence, whether you're asking questions, whether you are answering questions about your background and your experience, that really brings a lot of shape, gives you more comfort, and it gives you more confidence. So the second thing is having a flow and having a sequence. The other thing I would also say is it's a simple, interesting abbreviation, if I may. It's called FIT, F-I-T, mm-hmm. which is focus, information, and timing. So what that basically means is be focused on what you want to talk about, why you here. And again, this applies to the interviewee, and it could also be applicable to the interviewer. Information is be clear about what you'd like to share, and timing, being on time, or timing your discussions, timing your conversation. So fit approach to an interview is really something relevant. And last but not the least, they say devil is in the details. So the way your resume is prepared, the way you're attired, all of these things, are, I would say, tips and tricks to make sure you have an effective interview.
Fantastic. FIT, I really like that. Focus, information, and timing. Something to certainly keep in mind. And, these are things that people don't think, firsthand of portraying to the interviewer or the recruiter. It's usually trying to be confident and knowledgeable. And these things are just as important to develop. So thank you for that insight, Sanjay. They also say trustworthiness is something that people need to possess. What is your input on that? And what do you think are qualities necessary to portray this trustworthiness?
Yeah, thanks, Nija. So yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I would say the most important thing that interviewers look for is, that building of trust with the, interviewee. They would like to, obviously hire people who are trustworthy, and they'd like to see that emanate from the discussion. Now, the qualities that, I would say emphasize or display trustworthiness. One is, being simple and clear. I know it sounds very, petty, but it's very important. Whatever you are saying, make sure that you are clear. You speak about it in a very simple fashion. Use data because data never lies. So if you're talking about your performance, you're talking about your timelines, make sure that you're using very clear data points. That's one.
Yeah.
Second is, warmth, making a personal connection. And again, by the way, this applies to both the interviewee and the interviewer. When you're going for an interview, I would recommend that you do a bit of homework research about the person that you're going to meet, if you're aware of that person, or the company that you're applying for. Because when you do some research, there is bound to be some sort of connection that you will make about the organization, about their mission statement, or about the person. And today we have so much information on social media.
Yeah.
So one I would say is being clear, being simple, and using data to establish trust. And second is, making a personal connection. And today everybody wants to, hire a team player. People like to work in teams. And this is a very important characteristic. So these are a couple of things which displays trustworthiness, displays genuineness and sincerity, Neerja.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's some very interesting points you make there. Sanjay, could you maybe give us some examples so we can sort of picture these, potential scenarios?
Sure. Thanks. I just want to go back to one more point, Neerja, right in the beginning when you asked me about little things. It's also about paying attention to, the way you make your resume and what is written in your resume. Yeah. Often I find, in the years, sometimes people make, use their friends or other, colleagues or mates to make their resume, and they themselves sometimes are not very clear what's written on their resume. So it's very important to, not take that for granted and make sure that you're clear. You look at the way your resume is prepared and, you are yourself aware and, confident about what you've written in your resume. That's number one. Yeah. Now, coming to your question about the examples, a lot of interviewers want to know, I would say most of them want to know about the impact that the employee or the candidate has created in their previous organization or the current one. And one way of, showing genuineness or, displaying trust is by, being very clear about, what is the track record of success that you made using data again. For example, and it doesn't have to be actuals because, obviously certain data is confidential. It can be in percentages. For example, through my actions, I have improved the productivity by 30% in a 12-month period. I have increased the revenue for my company by 50%. I have reduced wastage by 10%. So when you, and that's where you put your money where your mouth is, when you are able to explain, using data, that gives a lot of confidence and that builds trust, with the interviewer. That's number one. The second thing, Neerja, is also being brave and being honest enough to say when you don't know something. And if you're not able to recollect, that's absolutely fine. We're all human beings. And this is where I find, a lot of us get nervous. I've come across many situations, Neerja, where sometimes people may fumble. It's part of life. We're not robots, we're human beings. And it's okay, to not be okay, which means, if you're, if you may have come in through a train, you're not yet completely there. You can say, hey, listen, can I get back to you on this, information? I don't remember it right now, which is because you may be an experience maybe 10 years back, 15 years back. So that's fine because you don't know what kind of questions come your way. And I've often seen candidates, Neerja, who, they try and navigate and they get a little nervous and they say, okay, it's approximately X percentage. And that's where, people need to be honest, because one thing that will never go out of style is genuineness, is honesty. So people need to be upfront and clear with what they know and what they don't know. That's number one. Number two is interviewers. I'll give you a hint and a tip actually. So interviewers always have a pattern in their mind. They're always going to make connections. They will ask 3-4 different kinds of questions. For example, okay, so if somebody says, I'm a team leader in this project. So, people are going to say, okay, can you give us an example of what did you achieve? Were you the team leader? What was the impact that you created? So it's very important that when an interviewee is explaining a situation, that they are able to connect the dots so that they are giving the right answers and the clear answers so that when the interviewer connects the dots, there is no confusion and gray area.
Right. Okay. I love these points. And, I especially love that you said it's okay not to be okay, right? Because it happens to the best of us. And it's so interesting to note that it's no longer about having the correct answer, so to speak, but about displaying certain unique qualities through your answers and coming across as a well-rounded, human being. So, I think that's some great perspective, Sanjay. Thank you so much for bringing, your perspective and sharing your knowledge with us. We're so grateful to have had this time with you. So thank you for being on the show today.
Sure. Thank you so much. My pleasure. And look forward to more sessions. Thank you, Neerja.
You're listening to the Randstad India Talent Pod, where fun meets work.
Well, those were just some fabulous insights from Sanjay on how important it is to show genuine trustworthiness during an interview, the impact it has on the interview, and the outcome of the interview. Well, here's a quick recap on how you can build trustworthiness. Trustworthiness starts with making the interviewer feel that you have nothing to hide. Make good eye contact at all times. Build rapport by engaging in any small talk the interviewer uses. Show enthusiasm for the job and the company. And never ever badmouth previous employers or co-workers. And finally, be prepared to offer additional information about any of your answers, but only do so if asked. Let the employer run the interview.
You're listening to the Randstad India Talent Pod, where fun meets work.
Okay, folks, it's time to have a little fun on our this or that poll. I'm going to ask you all a question. Now, this question will also be posted on the Randstad India LinkedIn page, so follow us if you haven't already and participate in this fun poll. Here goes. Real life is always inspired by real life. If we had to remake your interview session into a documentary series on Netflix, what would the name be? A. The Great Hack. B. The Social Dilemma. C. For the Love of Money. Or D. Never Say Never. Send that in.
You're tuned in to the Randstad India Talent Pod. All things Randstad in one place.
Well, that was such an insightful episode today, and I hope you really enjoyed it. Let us know what you think about Randstad India Talent Pod by giving us some feedback on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter. You can tag at Randstad India and tell us your thoughts with the hashtag Randstad India Talent Pod. I'll catch you next time on another episode. Until then, it's me, your host, Neerja, saying goodbye.
This is the Randstad India Talent Pod, leading the human forward way.